It is now time for our weekly political segment, Texas Face Off. Joining me this morning is Andy Hogue, the Travis County GOP Communications Director, and Ed Espinoza, Director for Progress Texas. Good morning to you both.
Good to be back.
So obviously big news happened yesterday. The Senate voted out SB 2, an amended version of Senate Bill 2. This is the bill that would reduce how much cities, counties, school districts can increase property taxes without voter approval for cities, counties, and special districts. It takes it from 8% to 3.5%. School districts, 8% to 2.5%. This was something that Governor Greg Abbott said was a big priority of his. Andy, so we'll start with you. Talk to us about your thoughts on what this is going to do for homeowners.
Yeah, well, first of all, nothing's going to really reduce taxes until we reduce the size and scope of government. So we need to get that straight. We need courageous conservative leadership to get there. In the meantime, we're going to compromise. And this is a great compromise. It's a good trigger to allow the people to weigh in on whether or not their taxes go up. So I think it means a lot for homeowners who are gradually being more and more price. We're seeing a lot of that in Austin, especially in East Austin lately. So I'm excited to see this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it.
Now, Ed, the Democrats and even one Republican Senator, Kel Seliger from Amarillo, oppose this. They say that this is going to make it harder for cities and counties to fund first responders and some of the services that people are accustomed to, the parks and the libraries and things of that nature. What are your thoughts?
And it's not just the Democrats in the legislature, it's the mayors and the members of the city council from all over the state and the big cities. By the way, the legislation not written to affect every city in Texas, only cities over a certain size. They did that in order to get votes from people who represent small towns and rural communities. So I think that's an important thing to include here. The other thing is that your city taxes are 20% of your property tax bill. So if you're looking for relief here, you're getting relief on a little piece of 20%. This is not real property tax relief, and the legislature is punting on this issue when they should be doing bigger things at the state level instead of taking away local control.
Okay, now one thing that you mentioned is something we were going to get to, which is who this impacts. So it's only for taxing jurisdictions that collect more than $15 million a year, but all of those jurisdictions will be able to vote themselves into this. So it's automatically going to be on the next election for them to say whether or not they want to follow this.
That's right. So if you're talking about creating smaller government, this does not do that. This actually adds a layer of government. We already have elections. You vote on mayor, you vote on city council, you vote on school board. We have it already. Why are we adding another election to this? What this is doing is basically creating some sort of smokescreen saying we're giving you property tax relief when you're really not doing that. You're making it harder for cities to adjust for the price of inflation. The amount that they can go up right now doesn't even keep up with inflation. That is going to hurt police and firefighters the most. More than anybody else in your budget will be your first responders. They get hit the hardest. It's a short-sighted solution. It's not even it's a short-sighted response to a bigger problem that they're not addressing.
Now, to counter some of this, Andy, I am going to say during the debate yesterday, that's why they said they increased it for cities and counties to 3.5, because they said the current rate of inflation is 2.9. Do you agree with that? Do you see those numbers to be the fact?
Yeah, there are various proposals being floated out there to index it to the consumer price index or other indices to see how it would play out maybe more fair in a time of an economic depression. But right now, I think it's a pretty good plan. I mean, look at your tax statement. I just got mine. I don't know about you, Ed, but it's continuing to gone up. It's gone up every single year without any change. So I think with the biggest bill is always the independent school district. It's always the highest one, so I think 2.5 is fair for that. Now for cities, there are often public works crises. You have pipes that just break all over the city like an epidemic. You have road problems that tend to all happen at once. So I think it's important to consider that some cities may need that extra leeway. So again, looking forward to seeing what comes out of this and what compromises are made.
So then we want to talk about schools a little bit, because you mentioned, schools take up about 55% of your property tax bill, and if these school districts, which already say they don't have enough money, can only go up 2.5% without an election, is this going to hamstring schools?
I don't think so. Right now, there's a move from the local idea of funding a school from your property tax to a state-funded model, and I think that's where things are going. Now, I know that a lot of your conservative think tanks, like Texas Public Policy Foundation, have been advocating a more state-funded position for a long time, and I think this is one march toward that, and maybe more fair to the taxpayers. We'll have to see. But right now, taxpayers are being priced out of their homes, and something has to change.
And what do you say to that? Because while it may be moving towards that, House Bill 3, which is the House of Education, you know, but which would address some of these things, it hadn't passed the Senate yet.
It hasn't, and property tax is directly tied to school finance. You cannot separate the two. They go hand in hand, and here's the schools are starved for money, and the property taxes are going up. But if property taxes are going up and schools aren't getting the money, where is it going? The problem is the property tax is paid, goes to the state. It's supposed to go back to the schools. Somewhere in between, it's not going back to the schools. So I don't know that a state-funded education system is necessarily the answer, because we kind of have it now and it's not really working. And go back to 2011, where the Tea Party legislature cut $5 billion from schools. Schools had to make that up through local bonds and local initiatives. You pass this, the next time you pass the bills that are on the table now, the next time the legislature starts to gut schools, the schools can do nothing about it. That is not a situation that I think the schools, homeowners, or parents want to deal with at all.
I think we agree there's a lot of waste, and giving state more control over that may be the way forward. But again, looking forward to seeing what happens here.
Obviously, we could go on all day about this, and we unfortunately are out of time, so we're going to load this up on our website after midday. We thank you both for being with us today, and we'll be right back.